Thank you for joining us for another webinar with owners sharing experiences. Today we're going to cover one of the most hot topics in this industry today, Groupon and Living Social. They are definitely, some people love them, some people hate them. Most people do hate them, and they haven't even used them. They're afraid of them. So what we've got here today is two phenomenal people, Kathy Gage and Ann Aldridge, who are going to show us how to effectively use Groupon and Living Social. I believe they have great value. So let's start with Kathy Gage. Kathy, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I worked for Anheuser-Busch for 10 years. I'm actually an accountant, and I had this crazy idea to quit my job and start a maid service. That was in the year 2000. We now do $1 million in sales. We have 415 repeat clients, 26 cleaners and 5 floaters, and 2 full-time office people, and then also myself.
So, Kathy, my question to you would be this. Do you still think it was a crazy idea to quit your job or just a crazy idea to start a cleaning service?
You know, I'm really glad I started the cleaning service. I wish ARCSI and people like you, Sharon, had been around when I did it, though.
Ah, you're very
sweet. There was no support back in the day.
Hey, how well I know. I was around for, well, I've been in the industry for 26 years, so, you know, I've always said you make it up as you go. Then that's a hard and expensive and long and tedious way to learn. You're absolutely right. Kathy, of course, is more than willing to share her 12 years of experience. She served on the ARCS board for many years. She was the treasurer, I believe, being the accountant that she is. And I hear nothing but kudos from Chuck Terpstra about that budget still wouldn't balance if it wouldn't be for Kathy Gage. So you did a very nice job. Thank you, Kathy. So now we move on to another lady who's no slouch herself, and that's Ann Aldridge. Ann, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, sure. I started Ocean State house cleaning back in 1998. It was something that I did part-time while I was in college. I graduated from college with a degree in accounting and went to go work for a CPA firm. And after working there for about a year, I decided that what I really wanted to do was be my own boss. And so I, in 2008, started running Ocean State house cleaning on a full-time basis. Started hiring some employees. So, you know, over the last 4 years, I've managed to grow the company from basically a 1- and 2-person cleaning service to having 21 cleaners, 2 full-time office staff. My girls work in, girls and boys, I should say, work in teams of 2 or 3. You know, while running the cleaning service, I also started a nonprofit called Cleaning for Heroes, which provides no-cost cleaning services for disabled veterans, police, and firemen. And that is a nationwide initiative, and we have about 200 cleaning services right now that have joined us so far.
Wow, congratulations, Ann. I had no idea there were that many. This is a fabulous cause, so fabulous that we are going to cover it next week. It will be next week's webinar with Ann. There is no cost to do this, and great public relations, and it's a wonderful and kind of new cause because some of the other ones, sounds so rude, but some of the other ones have been overdone. So this is a nice, new, fresh thing that people are supporting. Good for you, and we will cover it next week. Okay, the areas of expertise and the reason why we've asked Kathy and Ann here today are, Kathy has a phenomenally high conversion rate when she does her Groupons to repeat clients. And then, so if you can get clients for free, because Ann's actually going to teach us how we can even maybe make a little profit on these, which is unbelievable. So if you can get repeat clients for free, fill up, and they're both going to talk about whether or not it's a good idea to use this as you're growing or when you need more clients, as you're a single owner and you get to your 20 client count, repeat count, and you have to bring in a new person. The problem is, how do you keep them busy? You really only have enough work for you because we know selling more than 1 net repeat client a week is rather difficult to do. So it's going to take you a couple of months to get these clients there. Is this a good way to fill in those spaces? Some new cleaning companies have lost their company trying this. So we're going to get a feeling from Ann and Kathy about what they think about this and how they would manage it if they were a startup or trying to grow their company. Okay, Kathy, tell us about your past experience with Groupon and Living Social.
We've done 3 deals so far. The first one was in 2010 with Living Social. It lasted a year. We tried Living Social first because they're not as popular in our area, and we weren't afraid that we'd sell too many. So we sold 79, and we converted 18 of them to regular customers. The second time we did it in March of 2010. We did a 6-month Groupon. We sold 250. We converted 22, but actually only 200 even used their Groupon. 50 did not. So we really had more of a 10 or 11% conversion ratio for the Groupon.
Which is phenomenal, phenomenal. But see, I meant to say 10, but I got that extra zero up there under 2010. Okay, moving right along to Ann. Ann, tell us a little bit about your background. I mean, about your background experience with Groupon and Living Social.
Yep. The first Groupon we did was in May of 2010. We sold 160 of those, of the Groupons. Of those, we were able to convert about 6%, which was about 10 new clients, new weekly or biweekly or monthly clients out of the 160. And we found that, you know, at the end of the day, at the end of 6 months, we had about a 28% rate. 45 people actually never redeemed them. We never heard from them again. They never called the schedule. The second time, we did it in March of 2011, and that time we sold 498 Groupons. Our conversion rate dropped down a little bit, down to a 1% conversion rate. We only were able to convert 5 people. But what we found was that a lot of the people who had bought Groupons the first time around also bought them the second time, which probably explains why the rate of conversion was a little bit less, because a lot of the people had proven that they were interested in getting their house cleaned, you know, when they buy a deal, but weren't so, you know, keen on paying full price for it. Of those 498 Groupons sold, we had 160 of them never redeemed, which was about 32%.
Well, in all fairness, Ann, if I would take out the numbers you just gave me from the sold, because I did not do that, your conversion rate is a lot higher than 1%.
It would be. It would be a little bit higher.
Kathy probably has those numbers for us, being the accountant she is. But truly, that would give us a lot different numbers. So it's not, they are convertible. That's very good to see. Okay, Kathy, if you knew when you first started with Living Social what you know now, what would you have made sure that you would have done differently?
The first time around, we didn't stress as much what we can actually accomplish in 4 man-hours. So we didn't manage those expectations well, and people were disappointed that we didn't get more done than we did. So the second time around, we really worked on managing those expectations. We pretty much told them we could do this and this. We kind of gave them 3 options of what we can do in 4 man-hours.
That's interesting, Kathy, because I have a couple of questions there. Did you feel that the first time then you got some bad PR out of it?
I don't think so. I mean, they weren't extremely disappointed. We just didn't want that to be their experience, because we wanted to use this as the ability to do a trial with them. So we didn't get any bad reviews or, you know, and if they were really disappointed, we went back out and gave them another 2 hours, 2 people with an hour of time.
Oh, you did, okay.
We did.
And
that, yeah, I think we only did that twice.
Okay, and that's worth the PR.
Right.
Are your people percentage or by the hour?
Our people are hourly.
Hourly. So how did you keep your people from, like, it was hard. I worked with a cleaning service once as a consultant who did this. And the difficulties their people had was walking out of the house, leaving it so dirty, because they wanted to get them as a repeat client, and they didn't think the client would be impressed. Can you respond to that?
We really had them focus, and we had a priority list from the customer, and we made sure that list was something we thought was doable in 4 hours. So we really had them focus on just particular rooms, and we let them stay maybe 10 minutes late, like wrapping up that room, so they felt like they left it in, you know, so that the customer would be pleased.
Okay.
But we didn't allow them to spend more time because we were already losing money, and we didn't want to lose even more money.
Exactly, exactly. Did you feel that your cleaners were less stressed when you, the second time around, when you knew that you had to speak more to the customers about their expectations?
Yes, definitely.
Okay, good. Good, which is probably why you list that as the thing you would do differently. And you said you would use a service agreement from your company. Now, we're going to go into more detail on this later, but explain to us why you feel so strongly about that.
Well, we had a very similar experience to what Kathy explained. You know, they buy the deal, but they don't read what the, I'm sorry, could you hold on a second? My experience mirrored Kathy's experience in that we had a lot of people who felt that their expectations hadn't been met. And one of the problems that we realized was that many people were buying the Groupon without actually reading the fine print on the deal. So what we did to sort of force the issue, to force the people to realize, you know, to read the fine print on the deal that they purchased, was to put together a service agreement and make sure that they read the service agreement, understand it, and then sign it before we even set foot in the house to clean. And what we found was that by using the service agreement, we were able to really reduce the amount of complaints that we were getting from people who thought they had bought you know, a lot more than what they actually did.
Do you feel you got any negative PR out of your first?
We did. We had a number of negative online complaints left for us, along with one Better Business Bureau complaint.
Wow. Wow.
So, which is why we really needed to find a way to make this work before we would do it again, and that's why we came up with the service agreement.
And it did work the second time. No complaints.
Oh yes, yeah, ever since we put the service agreements into place, the misunderstandings that we've had with clients have been reduced probably by about 99%.
Now, what's interesting, and I'll have to run your real numbers, is it looks like your conversion rate was higher on the first go-around than the second go-around, and that's interesting. Of course, you also had more clients, so that does speak highly. Okay, Kathy, because some people, I think we should stop here because some people maybe don't even know how this works. They've only heard bad things about it and haven't spent any time listening to the program itself. Can you tell us how this works?
For Groupon, for example, you negotiate how much first of all, you set what your deal is going to be. And some people in the industry have done a deal like the one we did, where it's 2 people for 2 hours. Some people in the industry have said we will clean certain rooms for a flat amount, and that price is supposed to be a half-price offer. And then Groupon takes half of that money and gives you half, and that's negotiable too, what that percentage is. We did something with Groupon called an exclusive deal, where we're not allowed to run another deal with anybody but Groupon for a year, and we got more of the money. We got 90% of the money 5 days after the deal was run, deposited directly into our bank account. And then you just have to manage keeping that money to help pay for those deals as you do them, and try to sell extra to those people so that you can make it more profitable, and then try to manage turning those into repeat customers.
Okay. Thank you. So you can make a profit, right, Ann? You said you definitely did manage for profit. So let's go through each one of these things. First of all, you said the first time around you did, I believe, they wanted a 50-50, and you did 45, maybe 55. But then, I mean, you got very good at it.
Yeah, it was 75-25 actually was the deal that we were able to make with Groupon. The reason why I was able to get such a good rate at that time was because Groupon was just moving into my area. They only had a handful of merchants that had signed up to do deals, and so they were really looking to get people on board so that they could get, you know, this area of the country going. And so that's why I was able to get such a good deal the first go around. You know, recently, I guess Groupon went public in November, and since they went public, I wasn't able to get such a good deal, and that was the excuse that they gave me, that you know, now that they're a public company, they can't do any better than 65-35. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. I tried to you know, do a hard sell with my you know, guy over at Groupon, but the lowest they would go at that point was 65% to me and 35% to them.
So
but still,
that's good though, right?
Good. Yeah, oh, it's still good. I mean, it's better than 50-50.
Are you going to be able to break even or make a little profit on this, do you think?
We're able to make a little bit, not as much as we did the first go around, but yeah, there's still a little bit of profit in there.
Okay. Now you did say that for that 75-25, you had to sign a preferred contract that you would non-compete. Did you try and even offer that?
We signed the preferred merchant contract actually after that first deal went through. So actually signing the preferred merchant contract didn't get us a better commission deal with them, but what it did was it allowed us to get 90% of our money up front and then the 10% a month later, as opposed to having the payment split up over a 3-month period.
And so normally they do split it up over a 3-month period. So when the money
Correct.
comes in the door, you get a third of it. Then do they just
Right.
send you each month another third, even if the
Correct.
client doesn't book? Okay.
Correct. And that was the deal that they made with me. Whether it's different with other companies, I don't know.
Okay. Okay.
I think the terms with Groupon, the big thing about with Groupon is everything's negotiable.
Okay. And we'll go back to Kathy with that. So there was the service charge. You said you added some service charges on. Do you want to talk about that?
Okay, we did. What we did was we added a service charge for anyone that's outside of a 25-mile radius of my company. So what it is, it's a $10 extra charge that we charge, and it's payable to the team when they come to clean. It's not something that they pay Groupon. They pay the $10 directly to us, and Groupon was willing to put that as a was able to put that on the Groupon itself as part of the fine print. And what that has helped us do is make sure that our travel costs are not eating into our profit.
Okay. Do you also put that on your service agreement?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. And then let's talk a little bit about this unused coupons. This unused money to me is as nice as I always love to sell gift certificates because very few of those are ever redeemed. This is
right.
a bit like that.
Right, and so along the same, the same concept. The first time we had, 28% didn't redeem. The second time, 32% didn't redeem. Now, of course, those Groupons that are out there are still the face value. They can still redeem it for the face value to my company at any time. So someone could, 5 or 6 years down the road, redeem a Groupon, expired Groupon for face value. But in order for them to redeem that Groupon, they're going to have to spend more money with my company to do so.
Oh, so it does say that they can redeem it for face value. They just don't
right.
get double the. Okay, okay.
Right.
So tell me, how much did you get to put in the bank when you were putting that kind of? I mean, what kind of profit did you make on just that 30%? I don't have.
I believe that the first time around it was around $2,000.
Wow, very nice, very nice.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Then let's talk a little bit about. Well, you said you need to micromanage this for profit. You want to talk about that a little bit? That you can only schedule a certain amount per week?
Right. My concern with, a startup company doing something like this is, managing cash flow. It's going to be very important for them to manage cash flow. They don't want to get into a situation where, they sold 200 Groupons. They're trying to schedule all these Groupons, say, within the first 2 months of the, the Groupon deal. And then what they find out is they don't have enough cash at the end of the week to make payroll, because they're waiting, they have to wait, to get the third, another third, and another third of their pay, from Groupon. So, what I did the first time around to avoid that was averaging a certain number of cleanings per week and then spreading it out over the expiration date. So if it was a 26-week expiration date, we would average it out to be 7 to 8 cleanings per week that we would be willing to book.
Okay. Now, let me ask you this. When they call you at the end, because you did say about 20% comes in the first month and about 20% comes in the last month, what if that 20% is more than you can handle in that last month? Can you put it into, do they have to take the first available opening?
Oh, no, not at all. As long as they call before the Groupon expires, they can book the service for any, they could book it for 2 months after it expires, as long as they call to book that appointment before the Groupon expires.
Now, a little bit further, if they call in the last month and you are booked as a company, are you obligated to clean them before the expiration date?
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
All you're obligated to do is to give them an appointment. It does not have to necessarily be before that Groupon expires.
Okay. Okay. And you said the service agreement was the most important. I think this myself is a very good point. So let's take a look at the service agreement as soon as I can. There we go. If you want to walk through the things that are highlighted in red, I thought those were extremely important things.
Okay. One of the big thing is where it says, I understand that the Groupon deal I have purchased is good for 3 man-hours of labor. That's a huge one. What Groupon loves to do, and they did this to me a couple of times, is they will put, you know, buy a Groupon from Ocean State House Cleaning, get 3 hours of cleaning services. They didn't put man-hours in there, and so I sent a team of 2, and the Groupon purchaser thinks they're getting 3 full hours with 2 people, or if I send a team of 3, they're getting 3 full hours worth with 3 people. And that wasn't the case. What we had, the deal that we had sold was for man-hours. And so that little paragraph right there explains that to them. And you can see where it says in the red, I understand that this means I will receive 1 hour of service per team member. Because a lot of clients we found didn't understand the concept of man-hours. And so this sort of explains it to them.
I doubt that I would have understood that until I owned a cleaning service. It's so common sense now, but, you know, not everybody understands that.
Yeah, right. I mean, you know, it's simple to us as you know, owners of a cleaning service. Buyers of those cleaning services are not, they don't necessarily understand it. So
I get it. Okay, and your next point.
Okay. And then the next point, let's see. I understand that this Groupon is for basic cleaning services only, another big one. We have a lot of people, even though it's in the fine print that it says that the Groupon is not good for deep cleaning or move-in, move-out cleanings, will buy the deal, call us up and say, I'm moving out of my house, I need a move-out cleaning, I bought this Groupon to do it. Or they buy the Groupon and call us up and say that we want to use this Groupon towards a deep fall cleaning, when if they had read the fine print before they purchased the Groupon, they would have known that. So that takes care of that problem. And let's see, what else do we have here?
That they will not be able to clean every room in the house.
That's another big one, right? This prevents someone with a 5,000 square foot home thinking that we can come in with that 3-hour man-hour Groupon and clean their 5,000 square foot home until it's spotless. You can't do it. It's going to ruin my reputation as a company. The customer is going to be upset. So to sort of fix that issue, what we did was we came up with this square footage that we were relatively certain that we could probably clean, a moderately dirty home in. And so anything over that, they need to know that we're probably not going to be able to clean every single room in that house, to what our normal standards would be if it was a full paying client.
Okay, Kathy, did you have any problems with people signing this? Did you get any consternation from them? I'm sorry. I didn't mean Kathy. I meant Ann. Ann.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Did you have any problems with people signing this? Did you feel any?
Oh no, we have not had any problems with people signing this. And what we do a lot of the times is when someone calls in to schedule a cleaning, we'll get them their email address, and we'll actually send them a PDF copy through email of the agreement so that they have it and they've had a chance to read it before we even come.
Perfect. And the last thing I'd like
to at the door trying to read it while our teams are, our team is out there with all that cleaning stuff.
Well, and if they didn't want to sign it, you wouldn't want to go out there. So, and the last thing that's very interesting is their opportunity to purchase additional time for $20 per hour per cleaning per team member.
Right.
Did you sell a lot of that, and did that make a big
difference? We did sell a lot of that, and what's great about that additional time is that I don't have to split any of the proceeds from that additional time purchased with Groupon. So that $20 per hour, which normally would have had to have been split with Groupon, goes directly to the company.
Ah, perfect, perfect. Okay, 24 hours. If I'm not happy, they need to call you, which is something we all do.
And that's there, obviously to prevent people from, and actually this is actually in our regular service agreement for our regular clients, and which is basically, if you find an issue with the cleaning, you need to notify us within 24 hours. Don't call us a week or 2 weeks later and expect us to come back and clean your place for free. I mean,
yes, I couldn't agree with that more. Okay, now we're going to switch over to Kathy, because after, and it does sound like Ann did a very tight job of managing these clients versus how we hold our repeat clients' hands, so passionately. Ann sounds kind of like, this one you do it my way or the highway, which makes sense to me. But now we're going to turn to our passionate person, Kathy, and talk about how she converted these people. So Kathy, let's start with the process. Talk to us from the time they walk in, they call your office, how you took some time with them to explain it to them. You did it on the phone, I believe, rather than through the letter that Ann did. Is that correct?
Right. And so they would call us, to schedule their Groupon, and we would be happy that they call. So I think you can't think in your mind, oh, this is a Groupon. So we would happily schedule them. The team would go out to do the cleaning that day, and I don't know how well you'll be able to see this, but we leave a nice packet in the customer's home that tells them a little bit about our company, and we actually left them an estimate. And in the estimate for our initial price, because we weren't able to do all the rooms when we cleaned, we would tell them that we would just charge them the monthly price if they called us within 45 days to schedule regular service. So we were trying to give them a deadline of 45 days to call us to schedule regular service. Then the following day, we would send them, and we would call them and ask them how everything was with their client, with the cleaning, and then we would send out a thank you card thanking them for using our service. And then to get our staff to be excited about converting them, their name gets put in a hat for each conversion, and then once a month we draw out 4 names, and each person gets $25 cash. And their names stay in the hat until the Groupon is over. So if they converted 10 of them, their name is in the hat 10 times and stays in the hat unless their name gets drawn. So it got our cleaners excited about trying to convert the Groupon customers also.
So Kathy, what do you think your cleaners did differently if they were excited versus they weren't excited? I'm sure, I know your cleaners clean good, period. I mean, I'm aware of you. So what do you think they did different because they were getting a bonus? Or what were you looking for them to do differently?
I was looking for them to maintain their quality, even though they may have viewed it as a one-time customer. And I was looking for them to be friendly and to leave the packet, to remember to get the packet and to remember to leave it. And some of them actually talked to the customer, oh, we'd love to come clean your house on a regular basis. I think we have room on Wednesdays with our team. So that's what I was looking for.
Wow, and you got it. That's terrific. And I do understand I mean, some of these houses were probably very dirty and you didn't want them to go in there and go, oh, they're never going to come back anyway, or they wouldn't be this sloppy to begin with. So, yeah. And it did seem to work for you because you have a very good conversion rate. So good for you, Kathy. Okay. Will you do it again, Kathy?
We're doing one right now. So obviously the answer is yes.
Okay.
We did put a max of 200 this time, and we continue to be clear about client expectations. What would we never change? We'd never change leaving the packet in the house or giving the teams an incentive to convert them. And now I'm learning from Ann, and I've got some other great ideas.
And I was going to ask you, will you now start asking for them to sign a service agreement?
You know, I really will think about it. We don't do a service agreement for any customers, and we're actually looking at doing that with all of our customers. But I think Ann has a great idea.
I like it too, Ann. I will tell you that I won't go to it with my regular customers because I always say, if they don't follow the directions, what are you going to do? Sue them in court? That would be really good for your public relations. So I'm not sure that they do as much good as they do damage. But this, I would absolutely do because they've never used a cleaning service before probably, and they're totally unaware of what is going on. So now, Kathy, did I get your, oh, you know what? I need to skip over this and first find out from Ann, will you do it again? There we go. Will you do it again?
Yeah. Yes, definitely. We would definitely do it again. Matter of fact, we actually have one running on Groupon today. And that seems to be going pretty well. We changed a couple of things. You know, so we had done an hour and a half prior, 3 hours prior, hour and a half, the team of 2. This time we're doing 4 hours, which is 12-man hours, which is, you know, team of 2 for 2 hours. So, you know, we upped the price a little bit. We'll see how that goes. Let's see, what 2 things would you change? We would definitely use a service agreement from the get-go, only because of the number of issues that we had from the first time that we did the Groupon. And we would definitely, I would have added that surcharge from the get-go too, because the first time I had done the Groupon, we lost a lot of profit due to travel costs, you know, mileage and gas and whatnot for the teams.
Okay, what 2 things did you never change?
definitely make sure that that the deal links to our website. We found that every time we run a Groupon, our SEO rankings go up significantly. We had 1,500 hits to the website the last time we did the Groupon. I mean, that's a huge amount of huge click-through rate for one day, for our website, and improved on rankings in the natural search on Google significantly. We were the first, between the first and the third listing on Google for any type of house cleaning search in the state. So
interesting.
Okay,
and then micromanaging all aspects of the deal to keep it profitable.
Right, and and you really need to know what your labor costs are going to be, your cost of supplies, the cost of travel, and you really need to micromanage those. It's probably a little bit easier to micromanage the labor costs if you're paying the person by the hour as opposed to the job on these, because they're only in there for a specific amount of time.
Okay, okay. And you pay by the hour, you said?
We actually pay a percentage base for the majority of the clients that we do, except for Groupons. Groupons are paid by the hour.
Oh, okay, okay. Kathy, did you notice a significant change in your website statistics when you ran your Groupons?
Absolutely, and I forgot to mention that, but our SEO ranking went up significantly too.
That is very interesting.
Hits to our website.
Because people spend a lot of money trying to drive them to a good spot on the website and all the Twittering and blogging and blah, 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 and it sounds like this is just am I making that sound too simple, or will that just drive you to the top? Kathy?
It didn't drive us to the top, but it helped.
Wow, interesting. Something I would have never thought of. Okay, before we go to the advice, I have a couple of miscellaneous things I would like to discuss here. Do you think it's necessary to have a separate line for Groupon so when your own clients are possibly calling in that you don't have these phone calls bumping your own clients out? You could let them just go to the message machine because they're Groupon? Kathy, why don't you respond to that first?
We just put in a professional phone system, which costs about $2,000, and we route our calls based on what you're calling about, scheduling, customer service, you're looking for a job, etc. So I don't see the need for a separate line for Groupon. It didn't seem to be, the phone calls don't come all at once, except on the day of the deal.
Okay, okay. What do you say to that, Ann?
Yeah, I agree with what Kathy says. We don't have a professional line installed. I wish we did. It's actually a really good idea. What we found is that, we do have the voicemail on the phone, so if someone's on the line talking to a Groupon and someone else calls in, they're able to leave a message as opposed to getting a busy signal. But yeah, having a separate line could be a good idea, but I don't know if a startup company would want to have that expense just for a couple of days, because, like Kathy said, it's really only when the Groupon is live online is when you get a lot of calls.
Okay.
All at once.
Now, would you use smaller packages, like rather than doing the 4-hour? I think, Kathy, you said you started in the 4-hour. Did you then go down to a smaller package, you said? And would you, with that, I'm going to ask a second question. Would you up your rates so you can get more money when you do it with Groupon? Or is that bad for PR because people think you're really expensive? So the first part is, would you use a smaller package? Second, would you up your rate?
I would not. I personally would not use a smaller package, and we stayed with the 4-man-hour package because if you get too small, you're not able to do enough to satisfy them. So say they paid $50 for for a smaller amount of work, but if all you get done is their kitchen and their half bath, I think we wanted to show them more of our work than that. So I wouldn't do a smaller package. As far as upping your rates, Groupon asks us to fax them some type of proof of what we charge. And I'm a really black and white person, so I wouldn't feel comfortable upping my rates for the Groupon. But we did the same thing Ann did. We sell extra hours, and that helps your profitability.
Okay. Well, I have had clients tell me that they up the rate. I personally think that's not seeing the forest through the trees because you are really doing this for public relations, and if people think you're $50 an hour per person, it's like, Nobody gets that. So it's kind of, I would think it would be bad PR. But interesting about doing the bigger jobs. So your ticket items, even though it's cheaper for the client, is a little bit more pricey because you're doing 4 hours rather than 2. Is that correct, Kathy?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Which might be why you have a higher conversion rate, because you have clients with a little bit more money than people with that would maybe do the less amount of money. So that's interesting. Okay, and would you use it to bring up new teams? Like, do you think it's possible? Do they give you enough hours? One of the things I'm thinking here is for startup companies to be able to use this, again, where they're going from 15, 20 repeat clients, and now they're bringing a new person on and they need extra jobs. Is this a good way to manage your team challenges?
Are you asking Ann or me? I'm sorry.
You know what? I'll switch to Ann. Ann, what do you think?
We've actually used Groupon to fill in some empty spots on the schedule to keep our teams busy. So it could be. If it's managed correctly, it could be. You know, what you don't want to do is, you know, depend on Groupon to always keep your schedule full, because then when all the Groupons are done, you know, you might have a brand new team and no work for them. So, you know, you need to be, you know, on the back end, you know, filling in the slots that are going to be vacated as the Groupons are used up.
So use that, thank heavens, time to do marketing so that you got what you needed. Okay.
Right. I mean, you could use the Groupons to get a new team, you know, up and trained and ready to go for your regular clients, and in the process, you know, in the meantime, be working, you know, like the Dickens, getting some new clients to fill in those empty slots once the Groupons are done and over.
Okay. Somebody also told me that they used it, who had 3-people teams, that they used it for efficiency, because if your 3-people teams only have 4 jobs in a day, they're going to make that whole day up with 4 jobs. But if you're getting 6, they're going to go back to the good efficiency, so they use these to keep their cleaners efficient while they were building their company, which was an interesting perspective. And will you respond to the smaller package that Kathy responded to? Do you use larger or smaller packages?
We started out using a smaller package. We started, you know, using the package that we started with was, you know, 3 man-hours, which is an hour and a half for a team of 2. We found that it didn't give us enough time to really show the clients what we can do, you know, to really, you know, make us look good, as opposed to just coming in, you know, and cleaning, you know, like Kathy said, a kitchen and a half bathroom and then leaving. So the last, the one that we're doing today, we've actually bumped it up to you know, a 4-hour package. So, you know, we're hoping that that will work a little bit better than what the 3-hour packages were doing.
Very interesting concept. I'm glad you brought that up, Kathy. Okay, Ann, any advice for startups?
The biggest piece of advice I can have is get yourself a professional website, because if you do a Groupon, the first thing they're going to do when a person gets that Groupon email in their inbox is they're going to click through to your website to see what you're all about. You want to have a great website so you have a good presence.
Very interesting.
Maybe even have, you know, some of your clients give you some good reviews on like Yahoo Local and Yelp and stuff like that, because before people buy the Groupon, they're also going to go around looking online to see what your reviews are. Interesting.
Very interesting. Okay. And a grasp on the financials, you said?
Right. I mean, you know, just know, you know, where the money's going. You need to know where the money's going to keep yourself profitable. If you you can't just be, you know, hoping at the end of the day that you're going to make a profit on a Groupon, because if you do that, you could wind up losing your shirt.
Okay. Kathy, what would you recommend for startups?
Well, Groupon puts some pressure on you to not cap the deal, and you could, you know, sell 500 deals and be totally unprepared. So I think especially the first time around, you should insist on a cap of a certain number. So you might start with 100 deals or whatever you feel like your company could manage. And then you get a large check. Even if you get the 30%, and 40%, you get a large check in the beginning. It would be tempting to spend that money to buy something your company needs, but you need to keep that money to cover payroll for those jobs. You should try not to spend that money. And then structure your deal in a way, or your touches with that customer in a way to convert as many of those as possible into regular cleaning.
Wow, just fabulous, fabulous input, y'all. I mean, I learned so much today. I'm almost tempted to start a cleaning service just because I got to believe this would make it easier. I just believe that. I just can't believe what y'all have now that I did not have, as Kathy was saying 20 years ago. I mean, let's just talk the internet, you know. We had to beat on doors and go to lots of networking events. So, final words, Kathy.
Something I didn't talk about in the webinar was the way I looked at the deal afterwards is I looked at how much it cost me, and our last Groupon cost us $2,100 to do. That's how much my labor and stuff was, offset by what they paid. And I gained 20 customers. So those customers cost me about $100 a piece. So if you look at the cost of acquiring a customer, $100 is not bad, especially in the area if you look at print advertising. So that's how I looked at it, as this was a cost to obtain customers, and I'm more than willing to do it for $100.
Oh, that's a very cheap lead cost. Now, I do, of course, have to ask you some accounting questions. So it would cost you $2,100 after you took off the money that you got in the door, the money that you got with people who didn't refund, everything. It still cost you $2,100.
Right.
Interesting. I would not have anticipated that. Because, Ann, you are profitable at the end. Is that correct?
Correct. We have been. We make a profit on every Groupon that we do. It's not a big price, like $8, $9, $10, depending, but it's still a little bit of a profit at the end of the day.
I would love for the two of you to get together and find out what the difference is so we could pass that on someday. That's interesting. Kathy, any idea off the top of your head why that might be?
It might be based on the hourly rate Ann is paying her employees while they're in the Groupon. Or she may have sold a lot of additional hours.
Okay, interesting. Ann, do you have any final words?
Final thoughts, Groupon is an absolute fantastic way to get your company, smack dab right in front of someone's face. People open up that Groupon in the morning. House cleaning is a very popular sell with Groupon. And so if you're just starting out, get yourself a fantastic website, manage your deal so that you're not losing money at the end of the day. It's a fantastic, like I said, it's a fantastic way to get your company in front of a lot of people all at once.
That is possibly the most valuable thing y'all have said. I mean, we beat our brains out trying to do networking events and get our name repeated 17 times in front of customers' faces because it takes 17 times to see your name before they'll use you. Well, Groupon, I mean, they probably do that. If Groupon keeps, I don't know exactly how it works, but if they keep sending out, that's a very, very good point. You almost can't buy that kind of PR even if they don't buy you. Well,
right.
Ladies, thank you so much for your time. Both of you have graciously said that you would be more than happy to have people call you and email you. You did say that, right?
Yes.
Kathy?
Yes, I'm fine.
Okay. No more than 20 minutes, I promise. Then you can start charging consulting fees, ladies. And here's Kathy's phone number and her name and her email address and Ann's as well. I can't thank you all enough. I'm going to leave this up here for a little while. I'm going to jump ahead to the next screen and I'll go back. Our email address, of course, you all know or you wouldn't be here. Next week, again, we are going to do Ann Aldridge, and she's going to talk about Cleaning for Heroes. The timing is perfect because we are 3 months away from Memorial Day, so you'll want your press releases, you'll want to start putting all those together so you can get with Ann, get signed up, hopefully do a client. And how many houses have you cleaned, Ann?
I want to say around probably 70 over the past year.
Okay, cool. Okay, we will talk about all this next week. Kathy Gage, thank you so much. Ann Aldridge, thank you so much, and we'll see you all next week.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.